we're here to see the presentation on fishing for a new model, AquaChile steps towards a lean transformation. We have the pleasure to be here with Stefan Westermeyer, who is Head of Operational Excellence at AquaChile, and he will tell us about what has been his journey on the lean implementation for AquaChile. So, Stefan, please go ahead, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. So we'll start with a little video to introduce us to our company.
En las frías y puras aguas del sur de Chile, en un lugar con condiciones privilegiadas, nace AquaChile, una empresa que lleva lo mejor de la Patagonia al mundo. En AquaChile cultivamos salmones y lo realizamos con cuidado en los detalles, a través de una producción sustentable y cercana con las comunidades vecinas. Estamos orgullosos de llevar la nobleza y cariño del sur de Chile y su gente a las mesas de los 5 continentes. Hoy nuestra compañía es la principal productora de salmón de Chile y la segunda a nivel mundial, ofreciendo un amplio portafolio de productos de alto valor agregado. Trabajamos con un equipo humano de excelencia que integran 5.000 personas. Gracias a nuestro trabajo diario, alimentamos al mundo con una proteína rica, fresca, sana y nutritiva. Para hacer esto posible día a día, buscamos la mejora constante en nuestros procesos y en las relaciones con nuestro entorno. El respeto, los desafíos y la innovación son parte de nuestro ADN. Hemos desarrollado un modelo productivo 100% integrado, estando presentes en las etapas de genética y reproducción, agua dulce, engorda, proceso, producción de alimentos, hasta la comercialización de nuestros productos en los mercados más exigentes del mundo. Estamos comprometidos con el medio ambiente, el bienestar animal y operamos con los más altos estándares de bioseguridad. Nos sentimos orgullosos de nuestro origen y de nuestra gente, sentimiento que reflejamos en cada una de nuestras acciones. Los desarrollamos de forma responsable y nos sentimos parte de las comunidades de las zonas en las que estamos presentes, contribuyendo a su desarrollo y estableciendo vínculos basados en la confianza, transparencia, apertura al diálogo y cercanía. Para AquaChile, trabajadores y comunidad son pilares fundamentales. Gracias a todo esto, cada vez más de 150 millones de personas en todo el mundo pueden disfrutar de este alimento sano que ha sido elaborado con cariño, pasión y compromiso por la gente del sur de Chile. Estos somos AquaChile.
Well, thank you, Stefan, for that wonderful video. Thank you once more for being here. I just wanted to remind all the participants that you can make your questions on the bottom of the screen, the Q&A section. So at the end of this presentation, we can, if we have enough time, we can go and around a couple of them. So Stefan, please go ahead. The stage is all yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcelo, for this introduction. Well, as Marcelo was telling you, I'm leading the implementation of Lean in AquaChile, a salmon farming and producing company in Chile. I'm Chilean. I live in the south of Chile. And today, more than telling you about some A3 process we took where we saw some improvements, I'm going to tell you about these first steps in our lean transformation journey that we started like one and a half years ago. And yeah, so let's start. So first of all, do you know which is the main exporting country of salmon in the world? Well, It's not Chile, but we can proudly say that Chile is on the second place behind Norway. Norway is the biggest salmon producer in the world, but then comes Chile. And AquaChile, in some numbers from the last year, we had more than 5,800 workers that produced almost 250,000 salmon tons that were sold to more than 1,000 clients in all over the world. And our operations are concerned in Chile, and as I said, in the south of Chile, in 21 counties. Chile is a very long country, and we are in the south. So our business model is fully integrated, which means we cover the complete life cycle of the salmon, from the genetics through the growing of the fishes and the processing, and then the selling of them. So, as I said, and in contrast to other fish species that are catch in the open sea with ships, the salmon is farmed. And the process starts with the breeding and genetics, where we produce our own eggs. And this is a very interesting process where we, and along in the long term, where we mix the best families of salmon and see which made the best salmon. And so the process starts. Then we have our own feed plant that we produce our own food that's then transported to the farms. And the natural process of the salmon is it starts in the rivers in fresh water. So when we farm the salmon, we have to reproduce the same process. So we have the first part of the cycle on fresh water, and this is some near the rivers normally, and this then in some pools on the ground, they are grown from these eggs until they are called smolts, that are fishes like 250 grams. And until they reach this size, then they are transferred to transfer centers and then put on the sea. The farming sites are in the sea and salt water. And why Chile and why in the south of Chile? The salmon needs a very cold water, but always and cold and calm water. And our fjords in the south of Chile have these perfect conditions, and like in the fjords of Norway. So that's why we are the main producers in Norway and in Chile from salmon. And then when the salmon reaches this adult weight, this is a whole process like between 12 and 18 months. Then the fishes are transported to our processing plants, where we transform them until to finished goods that then are sold to our clients. As I said, more than 1,000 clients all over the world. And the distribution is by ground in some places like here in South America, by air for the fresh fish that must be in 2 days in all over the world. And for the frozen salmon, it's by ships on the sea. So this is like our very complete process. And I work in the processing plant world. So the context of our recent history and what led us to implement Lean at AquaChile. Well, in 2019, AgroSuper, that is a big company that produces chicken and pork here in Chile, and had a salmon division, bought AquaChile, and with this merge, AquaChile became the second largest salmon producer in the world. And after this merge process, of course, we had to have a phase of organization. The teams in the plants began to consolidate, and cross-functional management areas too. And like in this phase, the division where I work today was created. And in this context, we had these 6 processing plants, all with different origins and, of course, different organizational culture, which was a big challenge too. And then naturally, we began to standardize our processes, and yeah, like even without methodology, when we started to standardize process, naturally we began to improve them. Like the big quick wins are always easy to reach. So yeah, when we saw the result of this year was very good compared to the past, but we knew we had a lot of room to improve. But after the first steps and easy improvements, we knew that the way to continue this improvement was to implement a methodology. So this was the context. So what we had as challenge, this multiple context in the 6 different plants with 6 different leadership styles and knowledge of continuous improvement. But we saw an opportunity in one of our plants, that's the Calbuco plant, that had already something started. The manager that came from, worked some years at Nestle, had already started to implement some tools of PPM, some of Lean. So we had this opportunity to mix so the new tools and knowledge we could share with the things that were already implemented in that plant. So we decided to start with that plant. So how has been our journey? I'm not going to take too much time in this part, but in summarize, we made, of course, a first diagnosis. We visited all plants and talked with the managers, with the leaders of the teams to know what they already knew about tools. And then we designed the model we wanted to implement in AquaChile. Then we started implementation, and we are on this part now. We are in our 3rd plant. And of course, in every plant we are implementing this model, we are improving it, taking the best ideas of each plant and to make the best model for our needs. Here are some of the pictures of this process, Gemba visits on the fillet lines, our BSM process. We had the opportunity to, in the 2nd plant we implemented, that we had a planned stop because of maintenance and our low season. So we could make this big training sessions with more than 50 people, and that's not always possible in processing plants where we have every day to produce, and we can't take like a week with training. So this was a good opportunity. Here was the same process, but in another plant, a little smaller, and 5S training. But yeah, what were the challenges and lessons we learned in this journey? First, we had to choose a methodology. As I said, we knew, and the manager said, okay, we know that the next step is to implement some methodology, but we didn't know what was the best one for us. So we started to talk with different consultants. We had trainings in TPM, with Lean, but at least with what we knew about TPM was really at first focused on the machines, on maintenance, and our processes in the salmon are very heavy on work first with the people. Our fish fillet lines are like with 30 persons on the line and not so many machines. So we said, okay, for us, it seems like the lean approach to work with the people was a better fit for us. So we chose to work with Lean Institute Chile. So what I have to say with this is there are a lot of methodologies, or all are proven to work. We have good examples all over the world, but you have to choose the methodology that best fits your needs. So I think that's this first thing we learned. As a second challenge was this adapt to the organization. So as I said, we had already this first plant that had some steps made forward, some things of TPN, and we didn't want to make or have a lot of change resistance. So what we saw that they had already some A3 process, but they named it a different way. So we said, okay, why change what they already know with another name? So let's keep this name and maybe improve the process they already doing. But this is what's the best to adapt the model to the organization and not the organization to the methodology. So this is important to be flexible. There is this theory, but you have to take what best fits to you and adapt it. As third challenge, I think, and with it connects with this change resistance, was to convince the leader. And this has to do with this different context and different leaderships. On the first plant, we had this manager that knew about the methodology, was already convinced, so it was very easy to do it. He was like making all these people work with lean, and it was really easy. But then on the second plant, we said, okay, we are going to implement this methodology. We had very good results in the first plant, and yeah, they didn't know about, and the leader wasn't convinced. And there is this, what happened to us, this plant is like 1,000 kilometers south from where we work. We had to plan sessions, training sessions every 2 weeks. We had already all planned, so the session starts at 9 a.m. We were there, and so one person showed up, then maybe two, and we asked where are the rest of the people, and they said, yeah, the manager summoned important meeting and nobody could attend. So not only he wasn't convinced, but he was like boycotting all this process. So what was the best way to convince this leader was to show him the first results, the first quick wins we had. And then he could see that his own people, his own team was making big steps forward, solving problems that were maybe present a lot of time for years. And so he started to see that we were there to help him and his team. And so he was convinced. And fourth challenge was break down the bad waste. It's a word that I invented, but I think maybe all of you can relate with it. And there is always people that will be convinced with methodology and work with you easily, but you will see a lot of people that are good to come with excuses. So when we started to do Gemba walks, we said, oh, why is, for example, so much water here? And, no, this is normal. we or our industry is like this, water flowing everywhere, this is normal. Or yeah, very good what we're talking to me, but we or our process is different, more difficult than what the examples you're giving me, because we work with living fishes, and this is not so easy to work like with I don't know, any other manufacturing process. And again, these people that are we have a lot of resistance to change. The best way to convince them is to, well, not give them all the solutions, but to teach them to solve their own problems, and they're gonna start seeing, okay, yeah, we had problems we could solve, and yeah, this is like helping me. So this is like these challenges we saw, and as summary of the main lessons learned and where we are and what our next steps, where the adapt, as I said, the methodology to our or to your organization is very important, and this has to do with the change resistance. Have a good sponsor. If he's not convinced, then hopefully give them examples of things you have done that are have had a good result. And last but not least, that the facilitator has to have a good fit or match with the team. Like, it doesn't matter if the people that are going to teach the methodology is some internal person of the team, or like in our case, an external consultant, but you have to have this match with him, and this is the case we had with Lean Institute Chile. From the first conversation we had with them, we felt that we could work well together, and so it was. And I think that's important too. In these processes are long-term processes. It's not easy from one month to the other, and you're going to work a lot of hours with these people, and you have to have a good match with them. So yeah, I said I'm not going to talk about some improvements, but of course I have to show you some numbers. We had on productivity improvement, we improved like 14% the performance on our field lines. That was a very good result and on this first plant. And on the quality side, we had last season 3.3% of premium increase, and that's a lot of money. So when you produce fish, there are, of course, premium fishes, but there are some fishes that don't have the best quality, and you have to sell them with a lower price. So gain this 3.3% extra was a really good result. And more than making changes in our processes to don't have or have more premium, the biggest change was decreasing the variability between the plants. We saw that last season, we saw that when we were like 4 months into the season, we had for the same fishes, came from the same farms, different results in quality between our plants. And of course, that was a problem. The fish were the same, and we had to align the quality between them. And now with the daily management system, we are watching these quality results day by day, and if we see some difference between plants, we can address it on time. So this was a big result too. And what our next steps? Well, continues to improve our model, like with every implementation. And in the middle and long term, we want that this process that we're starting in the production plants, we hope that this continuous improvement culture comes to the other areas of our process, and it's already happening. They started to ask, hey, what are you doing? And what were your results? And they started to talk about lean in their different areas too. So we hope that in some years we are like the whole company are in this journey. So if you have any questions, I think we have some 5 minutes, so please.
Perfect, Stefan. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation, and thank you for sharing everything you have done so far. It was a very, very amazing presentation. And I was wondering, even though you told us about your learnings and challenges, I was wondering if there's only one advice you would give to anyone who is thinking about starting their lean journey, because you've been able to start this journey maybe in a kind of a environment in which is not very usual to see this kind of initiatives. So which would be your one like golden advice that you would tell anybody who is now watching us?
I think the best advice would be stop thinking about it and do it. Yeah, like you said, there are some industries where there is that are a lot of advance in this, and like in the salmon industry, or at least in AquaChile, no one was talking about continuous improvement. And well, we said we have to start, and I think that's the best way to do it. You have started, and then with the time and in this journey, you're going to have to make changes, and you're learning in the process. But the best is to start, and then you will see the good results. And yeah, that I think would be the best advice.
Perfect. And you mentioned another topic which is really important. You said, okay, let's teach, to say it somehow, our teams so they can solve their problems on their own, and in an autonomous way, even though the leader has to coach and has to help teams solving their problems. As you perfectly said, not solving the problems for the team. So which has been your experience regarding that? What has been the transformation you've seen in your teams regarding problem solving?
Yeah, I think, well, now I'm thinking on some example. And for example, when we had some problems in some machine and some process, the maintenance team was always saying, yeah, the machine is designed to this size of the fishes, and now this is a machine like that has, I don't know, 20, it's 20 years old. So in these 20 years, of course, the fishes now are bigger. The machine weren't designed for the current size of the fish. And the response was always, yeah, we are making the best what we can with, but the fish is not, is bigger than for the machine, so you have to change the machine. So, and when we started to do a A3 process, we put the maintenance team and the production team, the quality team working together, and they came to solutions, make small changes in the machine, start to make daily processes, checklists on the machine, and now the results of the machine is like when the machine was new. So it wasn't really the machine the problem, but they could improve the machine performance without having to buy a new one. So I think the change was that they could say, okay, stop having excuses and start working, and then you will see that there are things you can do. So that's it.
Perfect. Perfect, Stefan. Thank you once more for this very interesting presentation. Thank you, everyone who attended this presentation. It was very, very nice and something like new in terms of lean implementation. So thank you very much for being here and for attending this presentation. And thank you, Stefan, once more for being here and sharing with us your experience.
Yeah, thank
Bye-bye.
you too for the opportunity to share this. Bye.
Bye-bye.